Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing great, all of you. Um, okay, so I will start with this chapter, cloud computing. And as you can see, there are only 9 slides. I believe that you are familiar with this topic, cloud computing. And this is the last chapter slide of this for this course. So cloud computing will be the last chapter slide, okay? And the last chapter slides, I mean. All right, so it includes some general information about cloud computing and how we can relate it to the database systems. So I'll start with this, then later on in the second part of the lecture will be anything about the project. If you have any questions, I'm going to clarify some tips and instructions from the project outline again, okay, because previously I went through the instructions step by step, maybe because some students to requested to clarify some points. That's why I will focus today the second part of this lecture on these instructions. All right, maybe starting from I'm not sure that I'm going to be available on Thursday. Physically, I mean in campus. Starting from the next week. So I mean 15. All right, I will be available physically in campus. So if you prefer to attend the class, you will find me in there. So 15th, okay? All right. Yeah, in this chapter slide, we will discuss the definition of cloud computing and what are the main essential characteristics of cloud computing, plus the models. So characteristics, so the definition, characteristics, and the models. All right, and then the benefits and the risks. Then we will mention something about cloud-based database solution. All right, that's all. So that was the objectives. So definition, we are going to define what is cloud computing, what does cloud computing mean. Then number 2, we are going to discuss the main characteristics of cloud computing. Then we will focus on cloud computing service models. All right, the service models and deployment models. Then we will talk about the benefits and risks of cloud computing. Last, we will talk about cloud-based database, how we can relate the cloud computing to database systems. All right, so how we can define cloud computing? I believe, as I said, I mentioned that you are familiar with this topic. So it's like a model that will provide a big shared resources, or a big shared, let's say integrated system. It's like a system that you can find all shared resources there, and there are so many characteristics of the system. So it's kind of model that will provide you a pool of shared resources. All right, so a model, to summarize it, cloud computing is a model that will be providing a pool of shared resources All right, and it will be provided by a service provider. Like for example, we have different types, different examples for cloud computing. Can you mention any? Do you have any idea about any cloud computing service provider? You are using, I believe you are using it. Yeah, exactly. And what else? Yes, correct. So Google Drive, iCloud, AWS, plus are you using your university cloud computing service? Yes. Dropbox plus. We have something we call OneDrive here, right? OneDrive. And there is something we call process, we call it virtualization. Virtualization actually is the process of creating a virtual version of anything, any digital object, all right, any digital item. So virtualization, we are virtualize files, for example. We are creating virtual version. All right, let's talk about the characteristics of the essential characteristics. So let's highlight the main keywords here. So model, okay, it provides network access, and we have shared pool of computing resources. All right, and it can be with minimal management effort. So we don't have to have skills of managing these resources. Just or there are some tools provided by the service provider. Okay, then we mention the virtualization, and this is something we can see as a main concept in the cloud computing, virtualization. All right, what are the main characteristics of cloud computing? Number one, we can have on-demand self-service. So we can use all the resources available on the cloud server by our own, which means that you are not going to need anyone to assist you, right? So for example, when I'm using OneDrive, all right, I'm not asking or requesting something from anyone else. So it's just me. And I need that, and I can reach it easily, anytime, anywhere, using any device. All right. Number two, broad network access. So I have the ability to access the network in order to reach kind of resources. And that lead to the third one. There are more resources like resource pooling. So there are a number or various number of resources available and can be stored on a convenient place. All right, and then anyone can reach it using like a credential, let's say, because you are not able to access the cloud computing resource without your username and password. Okay, so that's essential. Rapid elasticity. It's like it's very flexible to use all these resources, and we can see that you can use them, you can download them on your own device, or you can just have them stored there. Like, let's talk about iCloud. Okay, any picture you are taking your phone, it will be like stored automatically there. Okay, it will be synced, like syncing between your device and the cloud server. So basically it's like a place, a secure place. You are keeping your everything you want to keep, or other service provider want to keep for you. All right. So there is a kind of flexibility and elasticity. Measured service. You are able to measure everything you are doing there, like tracking um, your accessibility, for example, not accessibility, access methods. You are tracking your usage. You are measuring whatever um, you are having on that resource destination, let's say folder or something. So you have everything recorded and measured and tracked. All right, so all these are main characteristics of cloud computing. Anyone want to add anything else? Is that clear? All right. All right, perfect. Now let's talk about the models for the cloud computing. So the service models, we have something we call service models. And secondly, we have the deployment models. So we can categorize the service models into three models. Software as a service, which is called SaaS, all right? Platform as a service, or PaaS. Infrastructure as a service, or let's say IaaS or AS. All right, so software as a service, we are going to give you some examples for that. Software as a service, it's like a software. Sorry about that. It's just, all right. Okay. So software as a service, in this illustration, you can find software. The first one will be software as a service. It will be all managed by the provider, the service provider. All right. So this is how we can differentiate between all these models. For example, in the software as a service, okay, everything, including applications, okay, applications, data, runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, in other words, creating virtual versions of items, servers, storage, networking, everything will be managed by who? By the service providers. Everything. You are not going to manage anything. Or the organization is not responsible for managing anything. Okay, so this is a model that can be provided by the providers, and there will be full management by the provider themselves. All right, so everything will be managed by the provider only. Now let's talk about the second model, which is the platform. All right, platform as a service. That means that there will be some kind of things that can be managed by the organization, while the remaining will be managed by the provider. So it will be like, for example, only two. Let me just remove this. Okay. Okay, only applications and data are managed by the organization, while the remaining, the runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, servers, storage, and networking will be managed by the providers. Got the point? So that's why we call it platform. Okay, because there are two things that can be managed by the organization. The third one will be infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure means it will be balancing managing these resources. Okay, so all resources, like half or maybe 5 of these resources will be managed by the organization, while the remaining will be managed by the provider. So let's say here that all these application, all right, application, then data runtime, middleware, and operating system can be managed by the organization, while the provider will be managing only the virtualization, servers, storage, and networking. Okay? Then, if the organization prefer to have full management, or 100% management of all these um, parts or elements of the cloud computing, there will be something we call package software. The full package, we mean full package, including everything, all elements, applications, data, runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, servers, storage, and networking. So all these will be managed by the organization itself. Got the point? So these are actually the models or service models that can be provided and can be used by the organization. Okay, clear? 1, 2, and 3, 4. We can add this the package, the last one, as 4. Okay, SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, and PS. Okay. Now, how about the deployment models? Deployment models. There are actually 3. It depends on the main goal of using it. If it is a private, it will be private cloud. Okay, you can use it privately in private networks. All right. If it is, for example, community used by certain organizations or within specific systems, we can use it as community cloud. If it is public, used by all people, it will be called public cloud. So it depends on the deployment method. Private for private use, community for specific organizations or specific like communities or societies, or let's say organizations or enterprises. And number 3, public use by all. All right. Now, what are the benefits of cloud computing? We can see that there are so many benefits. Not all you can also something else, but these are the most common benefits of the cloud computing. So there are many benefits, including cost reduction. Okay, instead of having your file stored in many places, so you can have it only stored once. So that will reduce cost, reduce storage space, reduce the efforts, okay, taken to find out the resources from different destinations or from different file paths. So cost reduction, scalability, and agility. You can have balance between all these resources. Also, there is a more control mechanism for security. It's very secure using your credentials. Accessing these kind of resources cannot be by anyone who is not authorized to access these resources. So it's it's a very good mechanism. Improve reliability and security. This is related to accessing using your credentials access to new technologies, all right, faster development, because before we used to have our own resources, everyone, so individually, we can just have them stored on our PCs or hard disk or external hard disks. But now it becomes like a rapid developed technology. Um, and many people are referring to these kind of services because it's more reliable, it's more secured, it's more scalable. It has also like large scale prototyping and load testing. If we are using this kind of service on the internet, we are able to upload or test our products on these, which will provide us a large scale for that, for this process. More flexible working practices. It's flexible to have it. For example, I'll give you my I'll talk about my experience. If I need to use my files, I'm keeping it on OneDrive. For example, let's talk about the University of Bahrain. We have OneDrive. You can keep all of your files there, and you can benefit from the resources there. So OneDrive basically will allow you to open the folder. I'm uploading something from using my device at home, and then I'll go to my office and I'll find this the same file there. All right. So it's more flexible. Increased. Oh, sorry. And last will be here increased competitiveness, and that is something between different providers in our organizations. All right. So all these are benefits. How about the risks? Or maybe disadvantages of the cloud computing? I'm sorry, just a minute. All right. Okay, so what about the risks? We have so many disadvantages of that, and including network dependency. So it will be depending on the network. If there is no network, then there is no accessing any of these resources. All right. If there is something about the network, there is a like error or system down, okay, then there will be a problem in syncing or uploading or downloading these resources or any files shared there. Also, system dependency, same with the system. If the system has something or any problem or any bug, then there will be a problem with it. Also, the cloud provider. So let's talk about any of these network, system, or cloud provider. If there are any, if there is any problem there, if there are any bugs, errors occurred, or something about these three, network, system, or cloud, then there will be a problem accessing the resources. All right. Like for example, I faced once I faced a problem, and my network, there was a problem with my network. All right, and I uploaded a file. I kept a file on my OneDrive, for example, and it was very important. Then I went out, okay, and I tried to reach it, but there's nothing. There was nothing there because when I checked, I figured out that the file was not synced there, was not uploaded. All right, so it took time because there was a problem with the network. All right. Also, there will be lack of control because you have no control over the availability of the resources or the integrity or the confidentiality or the intervulnerability or the isolation of the files, of course. So all these you have no control over them. All right, we have no control over all of these. So lack of availability of files, as I mentioned, it depends on many factors. All right, integrity, confidentiality, all right, and I'm sorry, file isolations or files isolation. Lack of information on processing, because it depends on the chain of processing. So less information can be provided about the processing data. So also there is the data will be, there is an issue with having these personal data available on different geographical locations. Okay, because see, it is available in different places. That's why we have lack of or less information can be provided about processing these data. Okay, and also it's transferred to third countries outside the organization control. So for example, the organization has no control over the personal data transferred to other countries. That's why this is a kind of a risk. Okay, so these are some risks of cloud computing. You may add something else. For example, in the exam, if you feel that there are many or there are more risks or disadvantages of cloud computing, you can share it. There's not always there is one correct answer. All right, so you can discuss, you can talk about it. All right, so these are some risks of cloud computing or main risks of cloud computing. We can relate the cloud computing with database systems. We can have something we call cloud-based database solutions. Okay, and that all organizations that are using database system or database management system can benefit from this this rich resource, this rich of pooling resources, okay, or resource pooling. Now they can have the separate service, okay, for database and for database server and cloud computing server. They can have this, or there's another option. It can have shared server and a separate database server process. Okay, so one server, but the database server process is separate. All right, or they can have shared database server with separate databases. A database will not be included with the database server. It will be separately kept there. Or they can have shared database and separate schema, or they can have shared database and shared schema. Got the point? So there are options here. If we are using the cloud based database solutions or systems, they can have either number one, separate servers from the beginning, okay? Or they can have shared servers, but separate server for the database process, or a separate database server process, or they can have shared database server and separate databases, also shared database or and separate schema, or shared database, shared schema. The database schema is, or the data description, right? The structure of the database itself. So we have four 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 main options here. If any organization decides to use the cloud-based database solution. So that was all for this chapter. Do you have any question? It's very short. And that's all. We have finished all of the chapter slides.